I don't really know why I've decided to film in here. Lighting is going to be all over the place, but I guess we'll have to roll with the punches. Hello, welcome back, and if you're new then howdy. As you can see by the title, I'm going to be talking about emetophobia today, which is the phobia of throwing up. But for the rest of the video, I'm just going to say blank or blanking or whatever, because I know that can be triggering to hear that word, and it's actually very triggering for me to say as well. So I'm just going to say blank. It's easier, it's just easier. So the main reason I'm making this video is because when I first went to uni a couple years ago, I looked all over for these types of videos and I literally could not find one. And like, emetophobia is a hard thing to deal with. I found a lot of how to deal with emetophobia, but like, that from my therapist, like I know. But university or college is a very different environment in which you have to deal with it. There are a lot more possible triggers or danger zones. But I also want to quickly put a disclaimer here. This is all just from my own experience with the phobia and my own experience with dealing with it. So if you, oh my God, the wind just opened the door. Close it. So yeah, if you have something that you deal with that I don't cover in this video, another thing that you're worried may be triggering or whatever, and I don't talk about it, leave a comment below or message me on Instagram or whatever. I'm more than happy to chat with anyone about anything like this. It's a very tricky thing, but it's definitely manageable. And to be honest, when I went to uni, I didn't think that I would last longer than a month. But here I am, going into my third year. Well, hopefully doing a year in industry, but point is, I'm still here 2 years later. So it is possible and you can do it. So the number one concern that I had before moving to uni was drinking culture. I also go to Uni of Leeds, so it's a big old party university, which I actually picked that for that reason. I really wanted to be around people that partied. I think they're more fun. I don't drink. I am completely sober always, and that's fine. That is an absolute viable option. But if you do want to drink, you know, you enjoy it and you want to get a little bit tipsy, that's also fine. And you can easily have a few drinks without going overboard and possibly blanking. And I guess it goes without saying, but do not feel like you have to drink loads or at all or whatever. I think there's a stigma around, especially Freshers Week, and I know that Freshers Week this year will be very different because clubbing is not really an option. My point is don't think, oh, I'm going into Freshers Week, I'm really scared because I'm going to have to drink loads and that makes me feel uncomfortable. You do not. Do you want to know what I did my Freshers Week? I watched Netflix. Not by myself. I found people who just wanted to chill and play games and like watch Gossip Girl. Freshers Week is whatever you want it to be. You can make it whatever you want it to be. If you want to party and do all that fun stuff, do it. But if you don't, and if you feel uncomfortable, that is also more than okay. But I guess with drinking culture comes not being able to control how much other people drink. I am very wary when I go to clubs. Again, I'm always sober, so I just kind of keep high alert at the people around me, checking that no one is obscenely drunk, and if they are obscenely drunk, making sure that they don't look like they're gonna blank. But I have been in those situations where it's like, oh, that person does not look well, I'm just gonna move over here. You don't have to go out at all. That's also completely fine. But if you do want to go out and you do want to have a little bit of fun, you can put things into place, put precautions into place for if a situation does happen. The biggest thing for me, I think, if you're living in a city, is Uber. Uber is a lifesaver because click of a button, you can be back in your room in 10 minutes and you can unwind and de-stress, do whatever you need to do, and you'll be back in your safe place. Which also leads me on to make your uni room nice and homely and bring things from home and decorate it really nicely. Buy new bedding, splash out, get a fluffy pillow, do whatever, but make sure that it is a really nice space that you want to come back to. Try and keep it tidy. I don't think, if I hadn't done that with my room, I think I would have dropped out. And I knew it was always there for me. I knew that I always had that space. So even though I wasn't at home, I couldn't go back to my parents and I couldn't, you know, kind of go back to my bedroom at home. I brought so much from my bedroom at home that it was basically like a bedroom from home. But yeah, I mean, going back to drinking culture, I could go on for days. There are so many kind of triggers that are associated with drinking culture. My number one tip is to just not, it's easier said than done, but to try and not let it hinder you. So you can put precautions into place. If things do happen, you can go, okay, I'm going to go to this, but if this happens, I will do this. And if this happens, I will do this. You can do that, you can plan ahead, but try and not let it stop you from doing things you want to do. My second big thing that I was worried about was living in accommodation with hundreds of people. This was for multiple reasons, but the main reason was because I was concerned about the fact that at home, I'm living with 3 other people, my mum, my dad, my brother, no problem. If one of them gets ill, I mean, it's not good, but it's less chance of 1 out of 3 getting ill, and I can close off and I can do whatever, but it's less chance of it happening than when I'm living with hundreds of people in one building. And I kind of associated it with school and being like, oh, I know that if a stomach bug goes around school, so many people get it. It's like a mini pandemic. And so I was pretty concerned about that. And I know that with COVID this year, you probably don't have to be as concerned about that. You probably have loads of precautions in place anyway, masks, hand sanitizer, stuff that truly is a germaphobe's dream. But also, if you're watching this and it's not COVID time, hopefully it will end at some point, I would recommend keeping anti-bac wipes in your room and cleaning your room, not to an extreme extent. It's hard to control, obviously, but monitor yourself and that you're not doing it excessively. But yeah, do that, wipe down the surfaces, wipe down your doorknob, that always really helped me. Hand sanitizer, of course, you can bring a little pot of hand sanitizer around with you. Again, don't use it excessively. In my first year, my hands, I'll insert a video, they were not nice, they were bloody to say the least. So stay on top of it, but do things to make you feel more comfortable. Another thing that I was concerned of, that I had a right in being concerned about, to be honest, was living with a shared communal space. So with my flat, obviously we had the kitchen living room area, and I was concerned about it getting messy and unhygienic, and I underestimated how bad it would be, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to scare you. That was bad, okay, no. It's fine. Students aren't clean. They aren't. But there are ways of getting around it, and I did in fact get around it. Fortunately, I was catered, so most of my meals I went to the cafeteria for anyway. But if you don't have that luxury, which I'm aware that many people may not have, you can implement a cleaning schedule perhaps. I would say be forceful with it. You know, if people aren't sticking to it, you know, be forceful, because it's your comfort at the end of the day, and you're going to have to live in that flat for a whole year. And if you piss off your flatmates, there are worse things in the world. There's a lot of stigma around your flatmates being your group and like hanging around your flat and kind of that being your friendship pod. Hi, Editing Kitty here. I just want to congratulate my past self for the term friendship pod. I think that's brilliant. I've never heard that being used before. I promise, I swear. So let's just say I created the term. Reference me as like I am the first person to do it. Thank you. I personally did not have that relationship with my flat at all. I would say hi to them and we'd be like civil, but we didn't have that relationship, and that's absolutely fine. I had friends in other flats in my accommodation and just other areas, which I'll get onto in a second, but my point is you can make friends elsewhere. You do not have to feel stuck with your flat. If you are like, oh, these people are not, I don't vibe with these people, don't freak out. It's absolutely fine. And therefore, you can implement a cleaning schedule and be forceful with it. And if they get pissed off with you, who cares? Just go hang out with your friends. Or, and luckily this is how my situation ended up, not purposefully, but it did, make friends with someone who has a clean kitchen. I did this. Thank you, Nathan. I mean, I did not make friends with Nathan because he had a clean kitchen. I mean, I guess we'll never know. But yeah, you can find friends quite literally everywhere at uni. Everyone is there to try and make new friends, and you can basically take your pick. Join societies to find people who have similar interests to you, and then that's like just a match made in heaven automatically. I mean, one of them's eventually gonna have a clean kitchen, right? Somewhere that you feel safe to kind of hang out. Right, I'm not gonna lie, I just had the biggest palaver of my life trying to sort this video out. I've now switched to iPhone, getting back into it. I don't remember where I was at all. I was gonna go into cafeteria food. Because if you are catered, then you have to deal with the prospect of eating in a cafeteria for pretty much all your meals. And that was me, which it's fine, I wasn't too concerned, but like mass producing a food just kind of freaks me out. So I would say start off slow. Focus on your safe foods and eat basically just things you're comfortable with. For me, that mainly consists of carbs. So I ate a lot of bread and a lot of salad in my first few weeks. And that was fine. I mean, it worked out. And then as I felt more comfortable with my living environment and with my lectures and all that, I branched out to different foods. And it worked for me. Monitor yourself and make sure that you are staying healthy and that you're getting everything you need, and that eventually you are gonna branch out to different foods. And if you don't, then that may be of concern. But if you're just starting slow and with the intention that you're gonna build, I think that's absolutely fine. And also, you've got to keep a rational mind about it, because these people are producing food for like hundreds of kids. So if a batch has like a problem with it, that's an issue for them. Like, they are in a sticky situation if that happens. So chances are they're going to be overcautious anyway, so you don't have much to worry about anyway. The final thing I'm going to talk about is panic attacks. I think that a lot of people who have emetophobia also have a massive fear of panic attacks, because A, they suck, right? I mean, I don't need to explain that to you. But B, because the idea of blanking, it's a lack of control. Like, having a panic attack out of the house is the worst of the worst. This comes back in as to why I said, like, make your uni room like it's home, because then you do have a safe space that if you do have a panic attack, you're like, okay, well, at least I'm here. So my first piece of advice would be to, in lectures, sit on the end of a row, always. Never sit in the middle. I still always sit on the end of the row. I will forever sit on the end of the row so that I can see the door and I can get to the door if I need to. It's just, again, it's that control thing. It's being able to. Also practice the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. If you don't know what that is, it's basically where you look around at things in the room and you note 5 things that you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. I think that's the order. I'm not actually positive. It's actually a very good technique. It's very good for grounding and making you feel like you are in the space that you're in, and kind of stopping that floaty feeling that comes with a panic attack. And if it doesn't work, once you get to 1, that's absolutely fine. Go back to 5 and go down from 5 again. Oh my God, they're so loud. They are so loud. I hate this video, honestly. Luke, stop shouting! My other major panic attack tip, and this one is a godsend, let me tell you. When I found out about this trick from a therapist in America, while I was living in America, honestly, it has changed my life. Oh, those of you who know me will know that this boy is my best friend. It's disgusting, but it's still, I don't judge him for it. I'm gonna talk to you after I film this goddamn video. I've been trying to do it for an hour. Having something to smell helps, again, bring you back to earth. What I recommend you do, the next time you have the chance to in this crazy COVID world, go to a candle shop, go around smelling the candles and find the scent that calms you. For me, the scent is orange. So I have different orange products, like different orange candles that I bring around with me in my bag at all times, pretty much. There is a psychological explanation for this, and I will try and explain it to you, although it kind of confuses me. I'm like, is this actually legit? But I'll explain it to you nevertheless. So your cortex, which is the outer part of your brain, is the thing that processes rational thought and that actually can think. It also processes the senses, so touching, smelling, all that stuff. And your limbic system inside your head, it's all in, the limbic system in the middle is the emotional center with your amygdala and all that funky stuff in that makes emotions happen. The limbic system is not capable of rational thought. It's only capable of having kind of one thought. Again, I don't know how true this is, but if you're stuck in it, it can only go round and round and round, okay? Now, what my therapist also told me, which again, I question, she said that the limbic system and the cortex cannot work at the same time. Is that medically correct? Like, I definitely buy it on a psychological standpoint, but is that medically correct? If you're having this one thought, so for example, I might blank, I might blank, I might blank in your limbic system, to shut that down, you have to stimulate your cortex. And a way to stimulate your cortex is to either touch something, so you can also get like putty or I don't know, a stress ball or something like that that you can touch, or to smell something. And that will then fire up your cortex, thereby shutting your limbic system down and stopping that thought from happening and allowing you to rationally think. Again, I'm not sure how accurate that is, but it's kind of nice to have that like picture of it. It makes sense, even though it doesn't make sense, because actually your limbic system, I know for a fact, is what processes your smell. That's why, you know, when you smell something and you're like, oh, this reminds me of this time, it kind of makes you sad. It's because it goes through your limbic system. So whatever. I mean, we don't question, but we do, but we don't. Point is, for whatever reason, having something to smell really helps. And I would recommend finding that something that works for you and keeping it with you at all times as a safety net, so that you know, even if I do have a panic attack, I have a way of getting out of it, because it really does help me. Like, if I feel some panic attack symptoms come along, I usually won't be able to stop them from going into full-blown panic attack, but now I can. So yeah, that's pretty much the major things I wanted to cover in this video. I have a few words of wisdom left. Yeah, you're welcome. And they are that you should meditate. You should meditate. That is a great thing to do. Honestly, meditation I think is very underrated. And I think that a lot of people kind of are like, meditation. They tried a couple times, it doesn't really work for them, and they're like, this sucks. It's something you have to practice. It's something you have to get really good at, and it's difficult at first, definitely. But just taking 10 to 15 minutes out of your day, I would recommend downloading the app Headspace. You do get a free trial with it at the beginning, but then you do have to pay. I forget how much. Because also, with meditation, it teaches you how to stop those intrusive thoughts. For me, intrusive thoughts used to be a massive problem, and now I barely get any. Not because they don't crop up every now and again, but I know what to do with them now. I'd put a brick wall up to them and they just keep hitting it back and staying in my mind, but now I know how to get rid of them, like properly to bypass them. And meditation has taught me that fully. It can just give you a much better handle on your head. It can often feel pretty crazy up there, and it gives you a much more control. For someone who enjoys control, it's Virgo season, that was great for me. My other big piece of advice is, although you may be hesitant to do this because obviously a lot is going to be new, although you may want to take it easy, I would suggest getting involved with as much as you can from the very beginning, because they serve as really good distractions from anything you may be worrying about, because either you could be sitting in a room overthinking everything that's happening, or you could be doing new stuff, meeting new people, basically widening your options, and also finding a really good distraction for your emetophobia. Basically, you've got to find something that you are more passionate about than your phobia. And I know that sounds really weird to say, because you are not passionate about your phobia, you hate your phobia most likely, but you've got to find a stronger desire than the desire to flee, because that's very easy. I mean, to kind of run away and to create a safe bubble around you, like, that sounds ideal, but you've got to find something that you want to do more than that, something that makes you want to break out of your comfort zone. Usually that's connections with people. I think it's finding people that you're like, oh my god, I love this person, I want to spend so much time with them, or group of people or whatever. And it's finding those connections and kind of finding value in it and being like, yeah, you know what, I'm feeling bad today, but I would really like to hang out with these people, so I'm going to do that instead. I have something that I am more passionate about than just kind of staying in a comfort zone. It's very difficult to do at the beginning, but I mean, I've said this like a billion times during this video. If I had not jumped into so many societies, I think I would have dropped out because I wouldn't have seen a reason in staying. I would have just seen the fear. But I found something that was bigger than the fear, and that was enjoyment. So yeah, that's all from me. I've rambled on long enough. I guess just be kind with yourself, you know, be gentle, but also know when to kick yourself up the butt and be like, okay, get a grip. Having that balance is difficult. It's definitely difficult. But again, like I said, leave any comments down below that you want to. Message me on Instagram, message me on here. Can you message on YouTube? Point is, get in contact with me if you want to talk with me more about these things. I would love to talk through with you and try and help you if you are struggling, because I get it and it was very scary for me, and I wish this video had been around when I was first going to uni. You can do it. You are strong. I believe in you, and it will work out. It will work out in the end. Do not fret. Okay, that is truly all. Make sure to subscribe and like. Oh man, I hate this part. Have fun. I love you. Bye.